Alright. We get this before Rebellion. This show before Rebellion, and to be honest, I felt like certain things really didn't make a lot of sense. Others, perfectly fine. Made perfect sense. And then the last match of the night, where I think they just wanted to add one more match let's talk about the last match. I'm not going to go in order here. But let's talk about the last match. The Hardys versus the Righteous. A tables match. We knew last week it was coming. And the thing that gets me is this. They're going to have a match at Rebellion. On Saturday. They're going to have a match for the titles from the system. And I'm like, okay. Are we really going there? Are we really doing a match just to do the match? So they have one more match on the show to make it exciting for the people of New Orleans. Did I feel that match? No. I didn't feel the match because I didn't expect the Righteous to win here. I'm being honest here. I like the Righteous. And I think they've done some decent booking with them. But wanting to give the crowd one more match before you move to Cleveland for Rebellion, I do not agree with. I just don't. Sometimes when you do something like this, you sacrifice the show just for the crowd. There's certain cases that is perfectly fine, and it's necessary to give the wrestlers something extra to hype them up for the pay-per-view that's coming. But in this situation, I don't agree with it. I think the Hardys did not need to have this match. I just don't think it was necessary. They could have given us another match, something entirely different. Hell, you just had Mara Gray on TV. Why didn't you give Hudson a match too? You could have let the Knockers have an extra match. You could have done something here. And if it wasn't going to be that, you could have given Mr. Elegance another match. I think that would have been something. If it wasn't going to be Hudson, it could have been Mr. Elegance. And BDE, he had his match, and that was BDE versus Kaz. Now, the story is not about BDE. It's with Kaz dealing with Elijah. Elijah is now he's doing like an Undertaker type of style position. And the Grifter is something like the Undertaker. I don't agree with it, because he doesn't have that air of the Undertaker. They have people that did something like this, in a sense, to make people feel more at home when death comes in the 1800s, next to the Undertaker. But it's like, you have him at a cemetery, talking about everyone comes here eventually. You have a kid call him and say, look, my dad and me loved you. Could you come to the grave? He says, yeah. Then he gets his ass whooped by Kaz, and Kaz, instead of giving 100 to the kid, gives him 20. Kid don't like it. And then we get the BDE versus Kaz. Of course, Kaz won the match. But then I'm like, is this a good story for Elijah? Is Elijah right for this type of story as the Grifter? And to be honest, I don't know. He's not exhibiting anything that would be like an Undertaker style. And that's the thing here. We got the Undead Realm. I'll go to that next. But if you're going to give Elijah something like an Undertaker type of style, he needs to start doing something like the Undertaker. He needs to give off that air of the Undertaker, at least by my humble respect. It doesn't need to be a lot. It doesn't need to be exact. It just needs to feel like, well, he's the guy that comes into an area. He has this air of someone that's like an Undertaker. He's going to make sure that you go to your grave if you're in his way. I kind of wish they would change the style from him having just the guitar to having something else that would feel like something. And I'm missing it. If there is something there, I'm missing it. If there's nothing there, they need it. Moving on. Okay, almost forgot this. Trey Miguel and Ali, their segment. Let me say this. They didn't openly say AEW's name, but it was made very clear that when it comes to TNA, everyone gets second chances. Like Mike Santana gets a second chance after leaving AEW. Trey Miguel definitely gets a second chance after leaving AEW, after leaving TNA, go to AEW, now back. And Ali was saying, well, I'm not like everyone else because I haven't got my ass in trouble. I haven't got a parking ticket. Of course you didn't get a parking ticket because you're a cop. But at one point, it would be embarrassing to see a cop get a ticket from another cop. But the point is, he made it clear he never did get a second chance, which in the sense he did. That's why he's in TNA, because he never had a chance in WWE. They treat him like crap. So now he's getting a second chance somewhere else. But they made it very clear like that. And I like Trey. He made it clear. Yeah, I got a second chance and one else did. But guess what? That second chance gave me this. You don't got this. And you see Ali at first, and I'm skipping around a little bit, but you see Ali at first trying to trick Trey into showing that he's no better than anyone else in the crowd. And it kind of backfired. At least until the part about the fight, because they made it very clear. And it was Trey who said it. Unlike me, and it was Ali that said, you got your team, I got my family, because Trey said that TNA is a family. And Ali said, oh, I got my family. You don't got your, oh, they're not here. And he says, look, they may not be here anymore, AEW, but they'll always be my brothers. They're my family. What do you have? You got your big stooges in the back, Dumb, Dumber, and Dumbest. He said something else than Dumbest. And a little bit of the... I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to... I got to say Garbage Patch Kid to Tasha Steelz. If anybody remembers what the Garbage Patch Kid is, instead of a Cabbage Patch Kid, it was a Garbage Patch Kid. They were doing that. But the point is, he made it clear, you need everybody else, I don't need nobody. And when the fight happens, he was starting to get his butt kicked, and Order 4 came out and saved him. Moose came out, and Moose still wants that ass. He wants to whoop the ass of Agent Zero. So there at least you got two stories. Trey with the International Champion Ali, and Moose with Agent Zero. He just wants him. I think that's not too bad. But the question is, how are they going to make these two stories mean something eventually? If it's not going to be done here at Rebellion, it's got to be done at Slammiversary, if they're going to keep it up that long. The Undead Realm. Marlon Moore. We get Marlon Moore, Sade. We got Tessa. We got Victoria Crawford. We had Havoc. We had Rosemary. We had the Bunny. And it was made very clear by Father Mitchell when he was talking to Rosemary. She is trying to do the 7 deadly sins. To try and get 7 sins to bring back Bunny. That's the deal. And each person that's in there has some type of sin. And they're trying to draw it out of them. Trying to take it so that could be used to bring back Bunny. And Bunny, after meeting Mara, said, I'm glad to meet you, and I've been dead for a while and I don't like it anymore. And the thing that gets me, that must be done, if this is really going to mean anything, and it really does need to be done, we need Su Yung to come back. Look, we already had Johnny Swinger come back, and it looks like it was a one-time deal. We haven't seen him since. This looks like a one-time deal. We need Su Yung back. If Su Yung does not come back as the final sin to be able to bring Bunny back, I'm going to be like, that's a disappointing thing, because Su Yung has to be involved in it. Yeah, you got Havoc back. And she's already went after after Moore. But you really need her back. Moving on. We get Danny Luna. And I want to make this very clear. With Danny Luna versus Jada Stone. I kind of feel really sorry for Danny. She had her moment when she was hot as Doomsday. But then the problem with visas happened, and she could not travel. She was stuck in the UK with nowhere to go, and it went flat. And then they had to rework everything for her, for Slater, and it sucks. It really hurt. And I almost forgot. You think I would have forgotten him? He's in my face. I almost forgot. Abyss showed up as one of the sins for Father Mitchell. That was there. I had to say that. I didn't want you to think I forgot. But in this situation, Jada Stone is being put over pretty heavily. But then Danny had the job here clean. And then afterward, of course, you see Tasha Steelz laying her out. Fine, that's the story. It's Tasha Steelz and Jada Stone. Tasha talked with Jada. Tasha had been around Jada. Tasha tried to help Jada. And that was part of it, and she talked on commentary about that. But then I feel like they're sacrificing Danny Luna, who really had a lot of momentum, but she's not really doing anything. Let's make this very clear. This is the... You guys know what I'm thinking. We already got an international championship. We have an X Division championship, and we got a world championship. The women needs a secondary title. I'm sorry. I know we don't have a lot of women. We don't. But if you get enough women, we need a secondary title for the women because they're not really booking these women heavily enough. And when you got women that are really hot and you're not willing to sacrifice what's going on in the main title scene, and you know the women or woman is so hot still that you need to move them up. They need to go into a title contention. And you don't. It hurts the product. And I believe either I don't know if it would be an international championship for the women or an X Division championship. It could be a continental championship, the Knockouts Continental Championship. Hell, why not? You can make them different from their male counterparts. Something different. The Knockouts Hardcore Championship. The Knockouts European Championship. The Knockouts US Championship. Just something to give them an extra title if they got so many women on the roster and they're not doing anything with them. Look, Myra Gray and Hudson finally got shown. We barely see them. And one of the reasons why I believe you don't see them much isn't because they're on Explosion. It's due to the fact that the tag titles are tied up, the main title is tied up, and they don't have anything for them to do. Give them something. You give them 3 titles. The Women's World Championship, the Women's Tag, and I know it's not really great, but it is there, and the Women's either Continental Championship, U.S. Championship, maybe U.S. Championship, something. They need one more title for the women. You can actually phase out the Knockouts tag titles and give them a secondary title for them to challenge for. That is what they need. But it's just me. Alright. What did I feel about Elena Black and Myra Grace? Let me give you like this. Elena Black, I didn't really care about in this situation. Because, yes, she won. But the question is, what are they doing with her? Yes, she's a drop out gorgeous woman that can wrestle to a certain extent. Is she better than Mara Sage? No. But then Mara Sage isn't that great either. Neither one of them are like this. They're kind of like here, just floating just below average. They can come up to average, then they drop a little bit low average. I'm saying about both of them. That's not meant to be disrespectful to either one of them. Because I know they put in the work. I've seen them both. And both of them were way worse than they are now. So they're like floating here. The reason they're floating there is because, well, they got not much to do. Yes, you did the hardcore thing with Mara Sage. But then Elena Black, she's not really doing anything. So this match, of course, she was going to win. There's no way she wasn't going to win. She was going to win. But now what with her? It's a big question. Next, let's get to Sosa. They are pushing him. It's good to see them push a wrestler. It is. And seeing that Eric Young is going to be the one who's going to be his first match. That's fine. But do not think that I'm just going to like him because he's got so no. I don't like him yet. Because I don't know him yet. I'm not going by his catchphrase. I'm not going by his music. I'm not going by his yeet moment. I'm not doing that. I want to know what TNA is going to do with him. They got to book him more than what he's just as a gimmick. He's a gimmick. Gimmick. That's what he is. Does he look like he can go in the ring? Maybe. He looks okay. I don't know if he can go great in the ring. And if you say you need to look at this stuff, I'm not looking at shit. It is up to TNA to make me care. It is not up to me to go and look at him in Europe and in Belgium. Fuck that. Not happening. I don't care. I care about what you do with him there. If you make it all about his reputation, he's going to end up like Julia, Stephanie Vakir. That is what he'll be. Julia and Stephanie Vakir. They will book him only because of his reputation and his gimmick. And that will get old eventually because people are going to want him to be in a real story. And to be honest, after he was talking with Gia, now that he's signed his contract, he sounds really bad on the mic. He just doesn't sound there. He does not sound good. He had focused so much on his prowess, possibly in the ring, that he did not understand that when you go on TV shows like TNA, like AEW, like WWE, being in ring is not enough. No matter what you say, no matter what I say, people want more. They want more than just seeing you go in the damn ring. You got to be able to talk. You got to hold a character. You got to relay emotion while you're in that ring, not just be spots. And that first match he had was almost mainly spots. And if he can't go beyond spots, he's in trouble. Because you can look at Devon Evans. You can look at Leon Slater. Yes, they can do the same spots as him. And better even because they're lighter wrestlers. And smaller wrestlers. But they also learn they got to be able to have charisma. They got to learn to talk. Look, as I said before, when it came to Leon Slater, he already had a lot of charisma. He got it. You could feel it. It's not his accent that made him good. It was his charisma with that accent that made him good. Devon Evans had nothing. The only thing he had was his catchphrase of bouncy. It took him almost a year to start understanding character development. Understand holding an attitude, having a persona. And now, he's not that bad. And if he does not get it, if Salsa doesn't get it, he's done. I'm going to tell you right now, people will not gravitate to him. Eventually, this is going to get boring. I'm telling you the truth. It will get boring. Look at Jey Uso. He got over not because of his ring work, but because of his personality. But now he is done. And I always said he was going to be tribal chief. He never got the option. They're not going there with him. He became world champion. And in the end, now, all he has is this. And yes, it's still popular, but he lost a lot. He became complacent. He went from here to here. Because he became totally complacent. Not saying he hadn't put in the work, but he never tried to become more than his character that he'd already done. He got a character over, he needed to be more, and he's not. Moving on. The Elegance brand with Terrence Terrell. Let's give it to you like this. Do I love Terrence Terrell? Yeah, but those Poom Poom shorts, they didn't fit her. Look, she looked great in whatever she was wearing. It's almost pretty much. That shit was see-through. You can almost see everything. And that's what she wanted. But the key here is that those Poom Pooms did not look right. They didn't look like they fit her. Not because it didn't fit properly. Just didn't look like who she hasn't been that way in over 10 years. She needed to be more, sexy. But she needed to have a better thing than something that she might have wore 10 years ago. And she made it very clear she's glad that she had this moment, but the Elegance brand messed up. They tried to interfere with it, and pretty much she got her ass laid out along with ODB and Mickie James. Now you're going to say, wait a minute, didn't you just say the Elegance brand messed up? Yeah, because you just took out ODB and Mickie James. You know what's going to happen now? You're going to have 100% a match between Elegance, Mickie James, Mickie James, and Terrence Terrell, and they're going to get their asses handed to them. That's what they're getting. Do I believe they deserve it? It don't matter. It's going to be an ass whoop. But that's just me. Let's see, what else am I talking here? Let me give it to you about AJ Francis's part talking about Nick. Wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. I know I didn't say anything about. Look, here's the thing. AJ Francis is in a feud with Nick Nimitz. Ryan Nimitz is now in a feud with BTE. It looks like it, because of what happened afterward. It looks like that's what they're doing. Until at least when Elijah came in and interfered. That either going to have a tag match with these guys, or you're going to be doing something else. I don't know yet. What do I think of Indy Hartwell and Santino Marella getting suspended? I knew Santino was going to have to be dropped from his position. I did say that there was going to be some way he's going to have to lose his position, and then he has to deal with a little bit of Stacks and his daughter. I do not know how they're going to do this. Right now, Indy is suspended because Santino punched Stacks in the face. They ran into a women's locker room. Indy looked in there to see if there was a whole bunch of women. There wasn't. They ran inside and they whooped that ass. And then Daria Ray made it very clear, because you put your hands on a talent, you are suspended indefinitely. So eventually he will be brought back with Indy, and I do believe they're going to have a match. The question is going to be when, and will it mean something? Because Indy has to have the opportunity to go up against a Ariana Grace. She's got to go after that title. But then you look at Stacks, he doesn't have a title anymore. So Stacks needs some type of stipulation so Santino will be able to get what he wants. Revenge. I don't know what it is. This is what we got. So I will tell you this. There was a lot here. Did some of this make sense? Yes. Some of it made a lot of sense. Some made some sense. I do not think the Hardys need to have a match and win on the show. I do believe it was meant for New Orleans. And some people say, well, that's good. Well, then make it into a damn dark match. You don't need to record it. Give us something entirely different. Show one of the talents you got in the back. You got to have a male talent back there, two of them, that you've not shown yet. That would have been good to show them, but I just don't know. But it's just me. Peace.